Hello, this is Little Green Ghouls, and welcome back to Goosebumps Revisited, a series where I break down a classic Goosebumps book and any episode that goes along with it. I will also be totaling up some Goosebumps cliches and classic moments. This week, I'm excited to visit Welcome to Camp Nightmare. Before picking up the book this week, I didn't really remember much about this one, which is kind of surprising because it was definitely one of the stronger books I've read so far in the series. I remember the cover for sure, but maybe since the topic was camp, I just avoided it as a kid since I don't really have any connections to camp. This is one you should read unspoiled because it has a ridiculous but fun twist at the end. When looking at the original cover, like I said earlier, it's pretty memorable. I think for sure it's one of the creepier covers, and I'm surprised this one didn't get plastered everywhere like Stay Out of the Basement did. I love the claws on the tent door and the eyes lurking out in the darkness. The overall color scheme just looks great. The 2003 version flips the image, but it still looks pretty good. I think the purple and green color combo they went with this time looks nice, and I don't think it detracts from it like some of the other slime borders on the early 2000 reprints. The 2010 version is a prime example in why less is more sometimes. Seeing the outline of the monster immediately makes it less creepy than the original version in my opinion. I just also don't like the color combo they have going on because it kind of looks like a pumpkin. Hard pass. This is one of the books in rougher condition from my eBay haul, which makes sense since it spent its life in the library. Where, you may ask? Why, the Forsyth Township Public Library in Michigan, of course. Maybe I'm just weird, but I love that this book came from a tiny library across the country and has been making the rounds since at least 1998. It makes me forgive what poor shape it's in. This book has probably seen some shit. As far as merchandise goes, there's less than there should be. Despite having such an awesome cover, the merchandise I found is mostly just like trading cards and apparently a puzzle. Although I bet this glow-in-the-dark card would have made an excellent glow-in-the-dark poster. Our front take says, "It's the Little Camp of Horrors," which is a play on Little Shop of Horrors, which I happen to feature in my Stay Out of the Basement video. I love that movie and I love Rick Moranis. The back take says, "Those scary stories about camp are coming true," which is fine. I don't really know any scary stories about camp outside of Friday the 13th, but I'll trust you, Stein. Before we get into the summary, let's read the blurb on the back. The food isn't great, the counselors are a little strange, and the camp director, Uncle Al, seems sorta demented. Okay, so Billy can handle all that. But when his fellow campers start to disappear, what's going on? Why won't his parents answer his letters? What's lurking out there after dark? Camp Night Moon is turning into Camp Nightmare, for real, and Billy might be next. Now that we finish that up, on to the summary. The story begins with Billy on the bus to Camp Night Moon. Stein does a nice job setting the scene, and we know we're off to the middle of nowhere with a sense of anxiety. Billy has befriended his seat neighbor Mike, who looked a little like a bulldog and keeps scratching himself, so he possibly has lice. Both Mike and Billy are nervous because it's their first time away at a sleepaway camp. I've never went to camp as a kid, but based off my viewings of Friday the 13th, I'm okay with that. I did go to a church camp one summer in 5th grade though, despite my family not being religious like at all, just because my mom wanted me out of the house for free for a week. We are also introduced to Jay and Colin. Colin has taken on the role of tough kid because he wears a red bandana and silver sunglasses. Jay has taken on the role of jock who likes flexing at the girls. If this book is a camp-based slasher, we're already checking off the necessary stock characters. Jay enjoys harassing girls, which is how we're introduced to Dawn and Dory. They're off to the girls' side of the camp, so I don't know if they'll be important to the story or not at this point. They have no time for Jay's stupid jokes, so I already like them. Mike thinks he's spotted a prairie cat, so I googled them to see where this camp might be near and turned up nothing, which is disappointing. I'm from the land of prairie dogs, so I was looking forward to meeting their counterparts. If I had read ahead before googling prairie cats, I would have seen that Mike was about to inform me that the camp is way past the desert and into the woods, so that sort of solves the environment mystery. This bus ride is a jolly old time until suddenly the bus driver slams on the brakes and turns to face the kids. To their surprise, he looks like a goddamn demon. His head was enormous and pink, topped with a mop of wild bright blue hair that stood straight up. He had long, pointed ears. His huge red eyes bulged from their dark sockets, bouncing in front of his snout like nose. Sharp white fangs dropped from his gaping mouth, a green liquid oozed from his heavy black lips. The bus of course has not been hijacked by a monster, and the bus driver reveals the Halloween mask he has on. The fun's not over yet though, because then the bus driver orders somebody off the bus in the middle of the desert. The driver unloads the luggage and ignores Mike's pleas. Billy decides Mike is stressing him out, so he wanders off to chat with the girls, who are all from different nonsense towns. Billy eventually decides to quiz the driver himself, but the driver shuts the door in his face and just takes off. This sends Mike into a tizzy, and he keeps repeating, "He left us," like in this scene.
He left us. He left us. He left us. He left us.
To make matters worse, they hear animal cries off in the distance that sound like they're moving closer. Maybe it's more of these mysterious prairie cats. Stein moves us right along though, and suddenly these animals are moving right at them. Small dark creatures, keeping low, rolling rapidly along the flat ground, tossing their heads back and uttering excited shrieks as they came towards us. "What are they?" Mike cried. They kind of sound like Stephen King's Langoliers. Dory thinks they're prairie wolves though, which at least turns up results on Google. These actually end up being some sort of mystery critter. They had slender, almost scrawny bodies, covered with spotty red-brown fur. Their paws had long, silvery nails growing out of them. Their heads were nearly as slender as their bodies. Tiny red weasel eyes stared hungrily at us, their long mouths snagged open and shut, revealing double rows of silvery dagger-like teeth. I was kind of certain that these would just be a fake out and they'd be tumbleweeds or something, so I'm enjoying this. These little bastards move in for the kill, and the kids try their best to fight them off the rocks, but they just keep coming at them. At the last moment, Uncle Al, our friendly camp director, enters the scene and fires off some sort of shots to scare off whatever the hell these little beasts were. Uncle Al also snuck up on the group somehow with a bus, but the kids are too relieved to question this. Uncle Al is big and red-faced, mostly bald except for a fringe of curly yellow hair around his head. He had a blonde mustache under an enormous beak of a nose, and tiny black bird eyes underneath bushy blonde eyebrows. Uncle Al ignores all the kids' questions about the creatures, food, and basically the kids entirely. It turns out that the camp was only 5 minutes away, which rightfully confuses everybody. They throw the girls out across the river, and the boys make their way to Camp Night Moon. The thought of food makes all the kids forget about their brush with death, and conveniently the 4 kids that we've already met end up in the same bunkhouse. The kids mess around and continue being their predetermined roles of jock, tough guy, worrywart, and protagonist. We meet their assigned counselor Larry, who's also sharing the cabin with them. The staff-to-student ratio is exceptional at this place. The accommodations could use some work though, because suddenly Mike screams in a chapter cliffhanger because his bed has snakes in it. Jay is an asshole and playfully shoves Mike towards the snakes, which end up knocking him into them, and he gets bit. Mike takes off in search of a nurse while Billy and Jay wrap up the snakes in a sheet and toss them outside. Larry reappears and he doesn't give a shit about Mike being bit and informs him that there is no nurse, so Mike is SOL. If you get hurt in this camp, you're on your own. Larry is impressed with Billy's snake wrangling skills, and he lets us know he inherited it from his parents, who are scientists/explorers. I need more scientists/explorers in my friend circle. At dinner time, the kids all enjoy some burnt hot dogs, while Uncle Al lays down the ground rules. The kids need to be in bed by 9 and shouldn't go out because the woods are full of grizzlies and tree bears, which, according to Google, don't appear to be real. Although it did just teach me about Australian drop bears, so that was time well spent. Uncle Al raises the stakes and lets us know that 2 campers got mauled last summer, so they need to take his threat seriously. Then everyone laughed. "You won't be laughing if a bear claws your head off," Uncle Al said sternly. I'm enjoying that this story isn't playing around and we got wild animals running around and apparently offing the children. Uncle Al's speech is giving me flashbacks to a preschool bus driver I worked with, who during a bus safety lesson started ranting at the kids about death. Her exact words to these 4-year-olds were, "Do you know what dead is? It's when you fall asleep and you never wake up and you never see your mommies and daddies again." As you can imagine, this caused some tears. Anyways, Uncle Al has one important thing to note: the forbidden bunk. They aren't allowed to go near it and nobody's allowed to talk about it. Okay then. Poor Mike's hand is throbbing and his pleas to Larry continue to go ignored. We end the chapter with loud, shrill animal cries and howls coming from the forbidden bunk. I'd assume it's a werewolf hutch and I would never go near it. The kids of course have the opposite thought and plan to check it out the next night. Unfortunately for them though, Larry's been lurking and tells them it's a terrible idea because Saber will get them. If I'm saying this wrong, blame the almighty Google, because I checked how it's pronounced and it says Saber. We learn that Saber is a red-eyed monster who eats a camper every night. Saber will rip your heart out. I hope this is true and that the kids get bumped off one by one. I don't care if it's overdone, that's my favorite horror trope. The next morning, the kids eat a big breakfast and get divided off to play scratch ball or go swimming. Sports aren't my forte, so I have no idea what scratch ball is, and I don't care to learn. Mike sits this game out because his hand still hurts and the pain has moved all up his side. We are treated to some gameplay that just doesn't do it for me, and finally Larry smashes Colin in the back of the head with the ball on purpose. They haul a concussed Colin off to the cabin, and Mike takes along with them. Colin returns minus Mike, and we learn that the boys will be sleeping in a tent tonight because it's tent night. The kids complain that it'll be too cold, but given the abundance of bears, I would have other concerns. After dinner, Billy realizes all of Mike's stuff is gone, so we have our first casualty of the group. Billy tells the rest of the group, but no one cares and they have a pudding fight like little animals. A kid named Roger is now filling the Mike void, and we learn that since it's tent night, Roger and Jay plan on going to the forbidden bunk. Colin can't go because he's still recovering from his head injury, and Billy takes on the role of the sensible one and stays behind. Eventually, Roger and Jay take off for the forbidden bunk, while Colin and Billy decide to sneak back to their beds, where it's warmer. The boys watch out the window as the 2 idiots make their way up to the forbidden bunk. Suddenly, they hear 2 screams followed up by animal snarls. Jay manages to make his way back, but reveals that whatever it was tore Roger to pieces. I keep expecting like cliffhanger fake-outs, but as far as we know, Roger is good and dead. Jay is full-on traumatized, and the boys debate heading out to get Larry. Larry's proven to be useless, so I don't know why they're even considering him. As this is happening, they realize that the window is wide open, and they think Saber is getting ready to bust in, but she doesn't. At breakfast, they corner Larry, and it goes about as well as you'd expect. He gaslights them into thinking that nothing happened and promises to talk to Uncle Al. At the river, Larry ups the heat on the gaslighting and tells them there was no camper named Roger to begin with. Colin and Jay head off to the cabin to contemplate the state of this camp, while Billy stands at the riverbank considering whether or not this is really the time for a swim. Suddenly, he gets a shoulder scare and yanked into the bushes where he finds Dawn and Dory. We learn that this madness just isn't contained to the boys' camp, and that girls have gone missing too. One, reportedly by a bear. These girls are proactive though, and they want to escape now. Billy convinces them to hold off on the escape, and he is hopeful that his parents will listen to him during Visitors' Day next week. Given the rate of missing children and the history of Goosebumps parents, this isn't a great plan. He decides to use a payphone he saw earlier that week, and to his shock, but not the readers, the phone is a fake. To make matters worse, he immediately turns around and bumps into Uncle Al, who tells him that the phone was put up as a prank and that there is no phone. He then lets Billy know he has a canoe trip down the river tomorrow to look forward to, which I'm sure will be totally safe. He updates Colin and Jay on the Dawn and Dory situation. They all agree to escape during Visitors' Day, and they write their daily letters home, as if these letters are actually making it home. Colin and Jay then reveal that they're supposed to go on a 3-mile hike that Billy wasn't invited to. To make matters worse, it's a fairly private hike with Jay, Colin, and a counselor named Frank, so I'm sure these boys will return completely unharmed. After a thrilling page of tennis, Billy goes to mail his letter, only to discover a mailbag full of unmailed mail. Mail. Like I said earlier, this is supposed to be a surprise, but let's be real, there was no way this mail is getting sent home. After dinner, it's revealed that Jay and Colin still haven't returned, and to rub salt in the wound, they've been replaced by 2 new boys, Chris and Tommy. Billy realizes that his plot armor is running out, and he needs to get the hell out of Camp Nightmare. But the boys inform him that Visitors' Day has been cancelled. The next day at breakfast, Billy continues to engage with Larry for some reason, and as per usual, he feigns ignorance about the missing kids and promises to tell Uncle Al. He also reminds Billy to get ready for their canoe trip. The canoe ride starts off well enough, and just as Billy is starting to enjoy himself, the sky gets dark and they reach the rapids. Larry falls into the water, and because Billy has Stockholm Syndrome, he dives in and saves him. I would have left Larry to drown. Billy must have been a lifeguard in a past life, because he's able to rescue Larry like a full-on professional. Billy gets Larry ashore and they start their 3-hour walk back. Despite Billy saving Larry's life, he continues to be a vague little bitch. Once they reach Uncle Al, he's outraged that his best canoe has drifted away and he does not give 2 shits about the kids inside of it. The next morning, it's announced that the whole camp is going to be going on a special hike led by Uncle Al. Given this camp's track record, I'd imagine it'd be like Stephen King's The Long Walk. While on the hike, Billy considers escaping the group and taking off for the nearest town. He plans on using the little house on the prairie approach and just following the river until it reaches the nearest town. As he's about to make his escape, he notices that Uncle Al is looking right at him with a rifle in his hand. This story gets even more wild, because suddenly each boy is lined up and handed a rifle to go target shooting, right? Wrong. Dawn and Dory have escaped, and now the boys' camp is going to go hunt them down and shoot them. I can't say I saw that one coming. Uncle Al softens this a little bit by revealing it's just a tranquilizer gun. Just. Uncle Al gets all up in Billy's business, and Billy declares that he won't be hunting the girls, and he pulls the trigger at Uncle Al. The gun goes off, and then nothing happens. Then Uncle Al says, "Congratulations, Billy, you passed." It's suddenly like Billy was on a reality show because everyone who went missing emerges from the woods and keeps congratulating him. Like the entire camp. Even his parents come out of the woods. Uncle Al then says, this isn't really a summer camp. It's a government testing lab. This is some straight up X-Files government conspiracy shit. We learn that his parents are about to go on a very important expedition and that kids aren't allowed to go along unless they pass some tests. Let's just read what some of these tests were. Well, we wanted to see if you could obey orders, Uncle Al explained. You passed when you refused to go to the forbidden bunk. He held up 2 fingers. Second, we had to test your bravery. You demonstrated that by rescuing Larry. He held up a 3rd finger. Third, we had to see if you knew how to not follow orders. You passed the test by refusing to hunt for Dawn and Dory. It doesn't stop there though. Where is this strange, dangerous place that they're going off to explore? Earth, of course. This is a pretty grand twist, and I'm not even mad about it this time, because thinking back, it was kinda set up. All these nonsense animals and towns were an alien planet the whole time. Well played, Stein. This was batshit, but fun. I have 0 memory of this episode, so I was surprised to see that it's a 2-parter, which tend to be some of my favorites. When checking the episode for interesting actors, I didn't really turn up anything worth going into. I liked our introduction to Colin because he looked just as silly as I pictured him.
He's coming to get us, right?
I also enjoy how the bus driver was just gonna mow down these kids in their bags. These kids are being circled like they're out on the moors, a la American Werewolf in London.
Hey, keep cool, you guys.
What was that? See that? What is it?
Uncle Al has a very powerful gun. I'm ready for this kid to get eaten already.
Girls are not part of this program.
Good. I forgot my deodorant.
Rule 3.
The forbidden bunk looks less like a bunk and more like a shrieking shack. They rip us off on the snakebite scene. I wanted blood.
What's the matter, Mike? Not enough chips in your cookies?
He bit me! He bit me!
Larry is great. I can tell already.
Okay, who threw the sheet out the window? The name's Larry?
Larry, we got...
Oh, man. Get that out of my face. I just ate.
We gotta do something.
You think you know more than me?
Uncle Al's vibe is way different than in the book.
Larry.
Larry, why wasn't I told about this?
Yeah, Larry. Ow!
Good. That's good. You still have feeling in it. I embarrassed Billy a minute ago when all he was trying to do was help a friend. And that makes Billy #1 camper in my books tonight.
I like that Colin has his sunglasses on at night.
The forbidden bunk.
We gotta check that baby out. You in?
I don't know. Maybe.
Don't tell me the #1 camper is chicken.
The angles of Saber watching them would have creeped me out good as a kid.
Think about it a minute. You got time to change your mind.
Who the hell is this? Billy read my mind.
Who are you? You and your...
I guess we don't get a no. Also, it looks like deviled eggs for breakfast. Larry remains great.
Well, if it isn't the little Eagle Scout. Go back to your table. This one's for counselors only. Mike's not here, Billy. So I guess maybe he's somewhere else. Satisfied?
Also, Larry gets Colin good and even dents the helmet. Colin in his sleeping bag is cracking me up.
Colin, get out of there!
Saber's coming.
Come on, man, we gotta go.
Saber's hungry.
Come on, go!
Same with Jay hiding his head under a blanket. Here's more Larry and sleeping bag Colin.
Everyone was screaming.
Shut up. Real sick.
Did you hear that? Oh, we gotta get help.
Are you crazy?
My head's killing me.
This is just kind of becoming clips of Larry, but I find him funny.
Where's Uncle Al?
Take a breath, Billy. I'm in charge. You got that? Now get your bathing suits on, losers. You're going to the lake.
Here's some Larry water drama.
Get back in here, you guys! You gotta put on life jackets!
This doesn't fit.
Just tie it on or something. Put this on.
Larry, I'm not a good swimmer!
You don't have to be, you jerk. The life jacket.
Help!
He's faking it.
Colin!
I was never here.
Larry!
Never saw any of this.
You can't leave him out here!
I was back at the lodge.
Larry!
Saber in the Woods is fun. The camera work in this episode gets wild. Damn, Dory got eaten by a bear in this version.
Yeah, guys are dropping like flies. Snake bites, creature attacks, drownings.
Remember Dory?
The girl you came with.
Yeah. We went on a hike and she got mauled by this bear.
I like that they get crossbows this time.
I won't do it.
Is this it?
Liar! You're a liar!
Calm down, Billy. I think I know what's going on here.
Shooting Uncle Al's great.
No, I'm not.
Put it down, Billy! Now!
This last part just makes me want more Saber.
So amazing, I'm never setting foot in another summer camp again.
Saber, Billy.
Hey, show him how it growls, George.
Overall, I thought Welcome to Camp Nightmare was easily one of the better Goosebumps books I've read so far. It had some of my favorite horror tropes, a group of friends getting picked off one by one by various beasts. This book didn't cop out on its scares right away either. Like at the very start, the group almost gets attacked by mysterious animals, and it commits to it by letting the animals be real. I also like that we spend a good portion of this book thinking Roger got mauled to death. The twist is pretty out there, but Stein took the time to set it up. Unlike in The Girl Who Cried Monster, he gave little hints at this not quite being Earth at the beginning with nonsense towns and animals. I'm gonna go ahead and give this one 5 out of 5 Langoliers. It had it all, scares, twists, and some enjoyable characters, so not much to complain about. Alright, on to our Goosebumps totals. We don't have any It's Only a Dreams, Asshole Victims, or It's a Prank Bros, but we did have a shoulder scare to add to our count. There was one shoulder scare in Welcome to Camp Nightmare, which was when Dawn and Dory yank Billy into the bushes to plot their escape. This brings our series total to 10 shoulder scares. Getting jiggy with the 90s suffered greatly at the hands of being on another planet. I only found one 90s moment, and it's a bit of a stretch even for me. Colin throwing a sticky green ball into Dawn's hair reminded me of those sticky toys you could buy from vending machines as a kid. Are kids still into sticky things? This brings our series total to 53 jiggy 90 moments. Vomit count remains at 0 without any close calls. This might just be 0 forever, but I can always hope. Welcome to Camp Nightmare had a total of 9 chapter cliffhangers. This book had high quality cliffhangers and it never felt repetitive. This raises our Goosebumps total to 115. The clunky cliffhanger award for this book's gonna go to maybe chapters 1 to 2, where the bus driver is just wearing a mask, but honestly, that one didn't even really bother me, even though, let's be real, and 90s Halloween masks are not hard to spot. Shocker ending. This was easily our biggest twist so far, with Billy not even being on Earth. Was he even human? This was a wild twist, and I accept it because Stein gave us little hints about something not quite being right there about this setting. This brings our total to 7. Well, that's it for Welcome to Camp Nightmare. I really enjoyed this one, and now I'm wondering how the other camp-based books measure up, because I don't remember anything about them, other than they have some pretty great covers. Be sure to let me know what you thought of Welcome to Camp Nightmare in the comments. Was the twist too much for you, like The Girl Who Cried Monster was for me? Would you have saved Larry? Do you think Billy is ready for Earth? Also, what did you think of my camp horror clips? Anyways, thanks again for watching, and make sure you subscribe for
the pride, the love,